Hey everybody, welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Yondas, and today is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. I almost forgot what day it was. Hi Diane. Oh, rainy here. I'm in Northeast Ohio. Rainy and cold and windy. Hi Linda, thank you for joining. I'm excited today to share with you a turnabout stamp. And these are by Concord and 9. And I love that they make beautiful backgrounds, and I'm going to show you how to use them. They're super easy to use. You can use, well, I'm going to show you because they turn at 90 degrees and they just make they're a lot of fun. They have several. I'm going to be using the matching dies, which are primarily for the sentiments, but I'm going to show you two more cards after the one we make. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm really happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for taking time out of your day, especially during such a busy week for Thanksgiving. And if you catch the replay, thank you again for spending time with me. I'm going to flip this down so we can get started. Okay, the stamp set I'm using, I'm going to bring it in here. It looks very simple. I'm going to pull this off because we're going to use this. And you can see you have some greetings here. But this is a turnabout stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and peel this off so that you can see actually what I am talking about, because it's a very different shape and you use it differently than you do any other stamps. Now I'm going to be using this with my Misty stamping tool. It's easiest to use if you have some type of stamping tool to put it in. So we're going to be using this, and every one of the turnabouts comes with a like a guide for setting it up. So I'm going to flip this over and just set it here. Now, one of the other things that comes with the stamp sets, if you so choose to use them, are the dies. And I had them here. Well, they'll show up here. I always seem to lose things. But one of the key things to use with this, it's called the All-in-One Turnabout Jig. And this is from Concord and 9th, and it really shows you how to use it. But I'm going to show you an easy way to use it, and I think you're going to be surprised at what turns out. So let me give you a I was going to say a sneak peek, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring in my stamping tool, and I'm using my large sweet petunia. Now, with this, you have, remember I said you have the stamp set, but you also have this guide for placing the stamp set. It tells you right here, this side up, and it shows you where the center rotation point is. So I'm going to put this right into the corner of my Misty here. And then I'm going to place my stamp and match up the design. And simply make sure it's laid right over, flat. And then I'm going to put my, and then lid down and then gently pick this up. All right. Now, the turnabout jig is tacky. It is going to hold your cardstock. But what it has here is an A2 card base that goes in either direction, and hopefully you can see that. But we're going to be using it, and you can see before I set this down, or actually I'm going to set this down. Let's peel this off. because my stamp is placed, and I'm going to tuck this right into the corner, just like I did the outline for the stamps. Now, this jig, and I don't know that you can see it, but in the corner, it has the number 1. And when you turn it, it has number 2, number 3, and number 4. Hence the name Turnabout. So you want to start off with your number 1 up in your corner here. And I'm going to drop that right on. I'm using a grip mat, and it sticks right there. And then I'm just going to lay this back down like I did and make sure that it lines up. So let's do that again, because I want to make sure that my stamp set is going to line up with this. And you can see it's off a little bit because I put it on before I showed you the jig. So I'm just going to lay this on there again. Make sure it's lined up. Easy to do. Pick up my stamp. And then I can take off this alignment guide, okay? Now, I am using a 4¼ by 5½ piece of cardstock. You could use, because this square is a 6 by 6, but I like to line it up in the outline here of the A2 card. So I'm going to use just a 4¼ by 5½. And this is going to be our stamping platform. Now, I want to make sure that you can see this well. You're going to turn this jig 4 times if you want to make a full background. There's nothing that says you have to. You can stamp it 1 time, and I'll show you what it looks like. You can do it 3 or 4. I'm going to do the 4 times. And so I had to pick 4 colors. You're going to use 1 color for each quarter turn. I am not great always at picking colors, or it's out of my comfort zone. So I'm using my Color Cubes by Renee Clark. And I chose these colors. Now you can see there's 6, but I chose 4 of them. So I'm using this teal color, and I'm using Concord and 9th Lakefront. I chose to use this dusty pink color, and I'm using Altenew Dusty Pink. I'm going to use the coral, and I'm going with Gina K's Sunkissed Coral. And then I'm going to use this plum color. So I went with Concord and 9th Plumberry. So we're going to start. So I'm going to turn this back around so that you can see it a little bit easier. And again, my number 1 is up in the corner. Once I ink up, I'll flip it back around. But I think I'm going to start off with my lakefront or teal color. And this stamp has been used. If it hadn't been, you'd want to condition it by either using an eraser or just cleaning it with some stamp cleaner in a lint-free cloth, maybe a microfiber cloth. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back so you can see it, and I'm just going to give it a good press. Now I want these colors to be nice and rich and get good coverage. So I'm going to stamp this twice. You can see that you get some ink along your jig. I just keep a microfiber cloth here, and I'm going to wipe it off. And I'm going to re-ink this. So let's go ahead and re-ink. And I think the areas that I need to get the most were those leaves, but we'll give it a light going over. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover that up, and let's give it a good press. So I just want really nice, rich, deep color. And you can see we've got that, except a little bit on that. Let's press that down. There we go. And now you have to remember to clean your stamp in between colors because you don't want to contaminate your inks. So I have a microfiber cloth and I have a bottle of spray water. I'm just going to wet that cloth. I'm a little hesitant to spray it because I don't want that water to head over and hit my cardstock. We'll give that a minute, and I'm just going to wipe this off here. All right, now remember I said we're going to turn this back to the orientation where the number 1 is. And now we're going to pick up our jig and simply turn it 90 degrees. It's in the corner of my MISTI, and the number 2 now is up in the right hand upper corner. So let's go ahead and we're going to ink. I'm going to ink now with the dusty pink. I'm just picking a color from one of the 4. I have no idea of how it's going to stamp unless I actually turn it back over and look where the leaves and the flowers are going to be. But it really doesn't matter because you're going to end up with this beautiful background. So let's bring this over now and give it a good press. Now this dusty pink is a light color, and I'm going to have to stamp this another 1 or 2 times. So let's re-ink this. Linda, you got a winter storm warning. Yeah, I think we might escape that up here, although they're saying lake effect snow, so who knows? Living in Cleveland by the lake, you're never quite sure what you're going to get. All right, so this may require a 3rd stamping, but I'm just going to, I'm giving it a nice, even, firm pressure, but I'm not pressing real hard because I don't want to distort my image. So look how pretty we're starting to get this background. So I'm just going to wipe this off a little bit here, and we're going to clean our stamp. And again, I'm just going to spray some water onto my microfiber cloths here. I get these over on Amazon, and they work really well. All right, here's our jig. We're going to turn this now so that our number 3 is in that upper right-hand corner. We're going to be right along the edge here on the side and the bottom. And now we're going to go to our, let's go to our coral. So I'm going to bring this forward so we don't have to keep turning. I don't want to make anybody dizzy. And I'm going to ink this up. This is Sun-Kissed Coral. It's a Gina K. It came out, I believe, back in the spring. It's one of my favorite colors. It's just a nice, I don't know, bright coral color. So let's bring this forward. And again, all of these images are going to overlap. And it's going to fill in all around the edge except in the center. So let's re-ink. And you can see where it hits the jig, the ink stays, a good amount stays right on the stamp set. There are so many of these turnabout stamps that I actually wasn't familiar with them, but I just love them. Okay. All right. So there's that. Now we're going to clean and turn one last time. Now at any point in this turning, you can quit. If you want to quit with this, you can go ahead then and use that as your, almost like your pattern, using it as pattern paper. And, or you can go around to the 4 times. So remember with your photopolymer stamps, with the reds and sometimes the blues and purples, they do stain, but they don't affect the quality of your stamped image. Okay, we still have number 3. We're going to pull this up, turn it 90 degrees, and we now have number 4 up here in the corner. So let's ink this up with our plumberry, and this is Concord and Ninths. Nice rich plum color. I love it. And let's pull this down, and we're going to just give it a good press. Okay. And I am going to restamp because my leaves, you can see, are kind of spotty. And then we are done, and we can use this to make a really pretty card. So let me know what your plans are for Thanksgiving. Are you hosting? Are you staying home? Those of you under a storm warning, it's probably not sure at this point what you're going to do. We are going to my daughter's for dinner, and hoping that the storm is kind to everybody in their travels. All right, so I'm going to just clean this ink off a little bit before I pick this up. I have to tell you, the other day I was using this to make a card, and I'm actually going to show you that card. One of the things I wanted to talk, or at least mention, is, you know, you can make Christmas cards from everyday stamps. You just may have to change up your color a little bit. And I actually used this Meadow stamp set, Wild Meadow stamp set, to make a Christmas card. And I'm going to share that with you. So here's our background. And I'm just going to bend this back a little bit and peel this off. And I'm going to clean this off just quickly so that I don't get any more staining. And now that my cardstock's off of there, I can actually spray the water on. And we'll move this off. This jig cleans. All you do is use some water on it, and it'll clean off very nicely. Whatever you do, don't use alcohol, because alcohol on your stamps or on your mats, these sticky mats like this, they can be ruined from the alcohol. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move all this ink out of the way. Now, here was my inspiration for the colors, and we now have 4 of those over here. So I'm going to use this as my patterned paper, but I'm going to cut it down, and I am going to use my A2 piercing layer dies. These are my absolute favorites. These are from Waffle Flower. But there's 2 sets, and they're all 1/4 of an inch in difference. So if I were to use one from my piercing layer dies and one from the additional piercing layer, they become an 1/8 inch instead of 1/4. So I've cut cardstock, and I'm going to let you help me decide which to do. I've cut a piece of lakefront for a card base with the sun-kissed coral for a background, and vice versa. And not knowing which one I wanted to use, I thought, well, I'm going to let you help me decide. So these are cut also from the layering dies, and what I need to do now is cut a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch smaller. This will be an 1/8. So while I'm getting this ready to do that, let me know in the comments which card base to use. Now, while you're doing that, I used a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this panel will be about 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So I want to try to get it right in the middle, and I'll show you why once we cut it. So I'm just going to tack this down with a little piece of low-tack tape, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutter, and we're going to make our card. So I want it about as even as I can get it. And I'm just going to put a little bit here. And I am going to run it through my Anna Griffin Empress machine. Oops. Because it allows me to not use the crank. I'm still working on trying to get that shoulder completely healed. So I'm just going to tack this down, and I'm going to just step to the side. It does make a really handy stamp set for the background. So you're going to hear a little bit of a whirring. And it's just that I'm running this through the die cut machine. And we'll go, Diane said to use the lakefront card base, so we're going to do that. I don't think anybody else commented, so we'll go with that. So here is our panel. And I'm going to show you 2 different things you can do with this once we get our card base together. So we're going to set that off to the side. And let's go with, this one is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4. And let's just go ahead and burnish it on our score line. All right, that looks good. And then we'll use the sun-kissed coral for our background layer. So I'm going to layer this right on to that coral layer. And I am going to use some multi-purpose glue. Now, the nice thing about this patterned paper or patterned layer is if you wanted to, you could certainly put a very large, bold greeting in the center. You could do a large, bold die cut and pop it up. I'm going to be using the die cut from, there are a set of dies that match this, and I had them here with me. And I can't really blame the dies disappearing on the dog. So I have to take ownership for that. Oh, they're right here in front of me. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my card base. Pretty colors, very different colors. Like I said, I would have never chosen on my own. So I'm really enjoying using those color cubes. And let's put this right here. And slide that over just a little bit. Yeah, that's still kind of cockeyed. So let's straighten that out and press it down. So I'm going to bring the dies in to show you what they look like. These are the Wild Meadow dies that go with the stamp set. These are, you get 2 of these leaf dies that when you, they don't die cut, they impress. So they looked almost like they're stitched. So they'll do an imprint or an impression with the stitching on your cardstock. You get 2 of those. With this, you get dies with the word thanks die cut out. And I do have a card to show you. When you die cut this, and we're going to actually be using this, let me show you what you get. You get 2 pieces. You get an outline and you get the hexagon. So what I did is cut one out of black and one out of white. And I cut one out of black because I want to be able to put this around my hexagon and have it outline my greeting. You have 2 more dies here. This one will do an impression. It doesn't die cut, and neither does this one. It gives you like a stitching. So let me show you what those look like. Here I cut the hexagon, and then I used the circle that looks like stitching and just laid it on there and ran it through my die cut machine. And you can see the beautiful kind of stitching. Hopefully you can see that, that you get. So you have 2 dies plus the leaves that will do that. So lots of options. And like I said, you could choose just to stamp or put a large die cut there. So I am going to go ahead and let's see here, make sure I have the right side. That's the right side here. I'm going to go ahead and just lay this and glue it down. And I'm going to show you one where I popped it up. But I have lots more to show you. So I'm going to go right here in the middle. Oop. And lay that down. Now I want to put this around it because I think it gives you some, kind of brings that out. So I'm just using some real fine tipped glue. Oh, let's hope I am. Let's make sure it's open. Okay. And I'm just going to put it right around the edge of this black hexagon. And add it right along there. And then we'll put that on there and I'll pop a magnet on it to hold it down. So let's do this. You know, this week there's so much going on. It's almost a little overwhelming with all of the Black Friday sales that have already started. I went to put a link for this in, and Concord and Ninth has their website shut down, getting ready for Friday. And so I put a link to scrapbook.com because they also carry it. Now I have a little bit of glue here, so I'm just gonna rub that off. And then you can take a acrylic block, or you can even take a magnet, and I am gonna just take a magnet and lay that down there. And then lay this one down here and let that set for a minute. Let's get rid of some of this because I want to show you what you can now do with this. We're not going to finish the inside of the card because I have two done. And I'm going to show you what you can do with that. I'm going to bring in my other two cards. This was one I did completely different colors, but you can see that I used the hexagon plus the die, you see, that cuts out the word thanks, and layered it on a hexagon, and it pops through that you can see the letters. Isn't that pretty? Now, with this piece that I had left over, I used a matching piece for a background. This is, I forget the color, but I used my die cuts. This should be good. I took a piece that was left over and trimmed it and put it right along the edge of that panel. And then you can stamp your sentiment. Now this one is the one that I used Christmas colors and actually for a Christmas card. I used my hexagons and I found a stamp, greetings that were Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I stamped them in Versamark ink, and then I used gold embossing powder. And then mix and match your supplies. I pulled a leaf from another stamp set that was from fall and stamped and die cut the leaves and put them together. Colored some little pearls with an alcohol marker and added just a little bit of thread, gold thread. On the inside, look what I did with this. Instead of cutting a second panel, I cut one panel and I overlaid the frame from my front patterned paper around on the inside to decorate it up a little bit. So lots of options that you can do. Now I'll finish up the inside of this one, and it'll be up on my blog by end of the day tomorrow. So let me bring you back to me. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Turnabout stamp set. You may have known about them. I didn't, and I just love them. Lots of options, easy to make your own pattern paper, but you know, you can then take that pattern paper and cut it into strips or squares and use it for your like a card design layout or a sketch. So I hope you enjoyed it. I will have the measurements and supplies, and I will be sending out the actual tutorial to my email newsletter group. I will have a resource sheet with everything for you to download from the website. I hope you all enjoy your Thanksgiving. I hope you stay safe and well. Enjoy family. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Feel free to share it. It helps me grow my channel. And I'll be back with you over the weekend for some more stamping fun. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great evening.